Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to learn how to play one of my most anticipated games, which is CoraQuest. This is going to be done by Cora and Dan Hughes, and this game here is going to be able to play up to 4 players. In this game, you're going to be going through different adventures, and you're going to be immersed in this story as you go through the dungeon. And this is basically meant for kids. And I love playing these type of games with my kids, so I was super excited to get this to the table and get some plays into this. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to play CoraQuest. All right, so this is CoraQuest, and as you see, you get a lot with CoraQuest. A lot of different components in this game, and one of the really cool things that I'm not going to go into but I'm going to mention here is you get some blank cards. So if you flip on the other side, you have these blank cards here, and you can use these to customize the game, so you can make up your own cards on here. If you go out to their website here, you can do a Cora character creator. You can learn how to make your own sort of dungeons and stories with this book in here. It tells you how to do all that and gives you ideas for monster creation and how powerful or weak they can need to be. This shows you when we're going to go over the rules for spawning here too and how to set those up. So that's really cool. I just want to notate that that's in here. So beyond the plethora of different missions you have in this game, you can make up your own. So there can be a whole community of people making up CoraQuest games, which I thought was very, very cool. Now you get a lot of different components in this game. These are going to be the map tiles that you're going to be going through the game with. I'm going to show you how to set those up in a little bit, but you get a giant stack of heroes that players can pick from, and you have a giant stack of monsters that can show up in the game. You're going to have your treasures in here. You're going to have your equipment here, and you're going to have your special items here. So you'll have those all available. You also get these really cool health gauges for the game there. Each player is going to get one of these to show your health in there. So these are really cool. You get some damage counting, so you get tons of standees for monsters and heroes in here, and they have that really cool art that was done for the game there. So you have those and some tokens here for different things throughout the game. Everyone's going to be able to get one of these rules reference sheets, which I think are very, very helpful. And I really appreciate they added that to the game. And some other components like these treasure chests and these big, nice, chunky dice for playing in the game. So lots of components. Well, now we're going to get into how you set up for the game. Now, the setup for the game is going to depend on this book quest that you go through. So which quest you pick is going to determine how the game gets set up. And there's going to be a lot of these, but you should start with probably Fangs for the memory. And as you can see, there's a lot of different quests you can go through here. Each of them are basically 2 pages here. So there is a ton of quests in here, and a lot of replayability just in going through these quests. And there's nothing wrong with just going and playing a quest again. But like I said, once you finish all these quests, if you're like, we want something new, you can make up your own. So you can get with your children and make a really cool adventure in the game. Now, basically, what we're going to do to start, like I said, is everyone's going to get one of these player aids. So give the player one of the player aids. And then everyone's going to pick heroes. You can randomly assign these heroes, especially if anyone's having a problem with picking. You just randomly assign them, or if everyone can go along and you can pick, let them pick, go ahead and let them pick which heroes they want to be. Like I said, there's a nice stack of heroes in here you can have. These are the hero's special abilities. This is the hero's health, this is the hero's movement, and this is the dice that the hero gets to roll along with their starting weapon. So you will get the starting weapon out of their special deck, and they'll be able to have that starting weapon in the game, and that will be an additional die they'll roll in the attack. And then they have a special ability in here. In this case, that you move up to 2 adjacent enemies next to you, 1 square each, and each monster has, or each hero, I'm sorry, has a regular side and a determined side. What's really cool in this game is if you miss, you go to the determine side, and this makes it easier for you to hit. And once you hit, you go back to the regular, or once you roll again there and you hit, then you go back to the other side here. So that's really cool in the game. So if you miss, you become determined, and then once you hit again, you're no longer determined. So yeah, you'll get your starting equipment. So each character will pick theirs. Sorry, wrong deck here. And then you're going to go through here, and you're going to, there's one of those cards that you get to write on and make your own thing. You'll get your starting equipment. So in this case, the robot here is going to get the Morning Star shown right here. So the Morning Star is going to be this one here, which is a nice mace. And this is going to be their starting equipment. Now, this starting equipment here, this is going to be the extra die you roll, and this is a range. So this is just going to be adjacent. So this is a melee weapon. But some of these other ones you're going to have a bit of a range to. Like here you can fire 2 spaces away. Here you can fire 4 spaces away. And you'll need to do line of sight with these weapons. So that's something to keep in mind. So everyone's going to get their starting character and their starting weapon. So in that case, the robot will get their Morning Star. I'll put that on screen in a minute. So everyone has their characters. You will also get the matching stand E for that character. So I always put the standees off to the side there because you're not going to have every monster and you're not going to have every hero. So you will put the rest in the box that you're not using. But we'll show you how you determine what you're going to be having. But this character would get this really cool starting character. So we have that. You'll shuffle up these different decks and you'll put them off to the side here. So your special item, and treasure decks, you'll shuffle those up and you'll put them off to the side. You'll put this little pile of treasure chests off to the side too, because those will come up on the map, and place the dice out for easy reach for everyone. And these damage tokens, also place them out so everyone can reach them. All right, so next we're going to set up the map. So if you look, these are going to be the normal map tiles here. And we're going to place these in 4 stacks. But before we do that, you want to make sure that you have all the cards removed that have, oops, this did the wrong thing. This is the regular deck. Sorry. You want to have all the cards removed that have the scroll here and have a letter in here. So these get all removed from the deck of cards there. And also the welcome card, which is the start tile. That'll go in the middle of the board, ready to go. But these cards here, we're going to put into a set of 4. So 4 stacks. So we'll do 4 stacks like this. And we'll evenly distribute these. So we have the 4 stacks here. And then we're going to see what are the story tiles that we're going to have in here, so we tell the story in order and properly. Now these are going to be the monsters in here. This is going to be the story tiles that you're going to be using in the game. So this is going to need A, B, C, and D. And it shows you which stack they go into. So we're going to go find A, B, C, and D. And this is to ensure that we do the story in the correct order. And be careful here. We'll place one A, B, C, and D. We'll shuffle this up. This will be the bottom of the Explorer deck here. We'll shuffle this one up. And so this keeps them in order. And we'll shuffle this one up. This will be there. And then shuffle this one up and it'll go on the top. And we'll place this off to the side so people can see that. And then you're going to take the Explorer token and place it on top. I'll show you why you do that in a little bit, but that's very important. For the most case, unless it tells you otherwise, your time token is going to be this, but there's also like a 1, 2, 3, and you can go up to 4, 5, 6. So there's other numbers on here, but we're going to most of the time use it this way, which will place that out here. And you're going to place your threat token on there. And for all the different players, you have these little tokens here. And all the different players that are in the game, you're going to place those out there because they're going to be used to determine when you can refresh abilities. So that'll be important. All right. So now that we have that, we're going to get everyone's standees and we'll place them in the starting welcome dungeon here. Because we have the deck set up, we have this set up, we're going to do that. We have a little bit more. We're going to see what monsters we're going to have out in a second. But we're going to get those and we're going to place them out. So in this case, I have these four adventurers. So I have the robot, the dwarf. I'll place out the wizard woman instead. So I have the wizard woman in there. And the assassin was really the crossbow man. He just looks like an assassin. All right, so we have that. The final thing we're going to do for setup here is we're going to take a look and see what monsters we have on here. So the monsters we're going to have on here, we're going to orc, goblin, gremlin, spiders, and giant spider. Now the spiders are going to be these tokens, so we'll just place these tokens out so everyone can get to them. And then we're going to go through and get the tokens, or the cards. So here's the card for the spider. Here's the card for the goblin. Here's the card for the orc. Here's a card for the giant snake. And then we also need gremlins, which are that. These are the monsters that are going to be in the game. The rest of the monsters we can place into the box there, back in the box. And then we're going to get out the tokens for each of those monsters. All right, so now I have all the monster tokens out available. And you can decide whether you want to play with the regular side, which I highly recommend for your first game, or the more dangerous, tough side for each of these monsters. But I would definitely play with the easier side first. And that means that you can actually go through these adventures and then go back through these adventures with the monsters being tougher at that point. So you could go through and then you can go through and be like, I want these monsters to be harder to kill. So like this one has 1 health, now it has 2 health. It has 4 movement, red die. So it's just more health for this guy, but some of them get even more tougher. So this one here has 14 health and 3 dice, and this one has 16 health, which makes a big difference in this game. So you'll put these off to the side, and you will be using these when the monsters come out. Some of them have special abilities, and if they do, they'll be marked on here, so you have special things on them. But the rest of these monsters, other than the spider, doesn't. These are related to tokens, and basically there's going to be occurring if you let your threat come down through and you're not exploring the dungeon, which we're going to go in a little bit. Now, just to mention that there is a audio guide to this game, so you can listen to Dan's voice for the story elements in the game. But you're going to start out the game, now that we have it set up, you're going to start out the game here, and you're going to read the story here. So this is going to be the story element in here. And you're going to read through here until you get to the first scroll place, and then that's not going to happen until you explore that area. So this is like Wizard Pebble Dash calls you over. He looks very worried, and then you have the rest of the story here, and you continue on with the game. So that's how this quest book's going to work, and you're going to hit these different story elements. You're going to have events that occur. So you have this. You'll keep reading until you get to here. This will be the event that occurs. You have A, B, C, and D. And end of the game here. Some of them have different scenarios here, but in this case, you're going to be needing to defeat the snake. So here's your win. Heroes defeat the giant snake. Any of the heroes get defeated, you're going to lose. So if any one hero loses, you will be defeated. Now, in some games, it's going to mention, I'm going to do a revive action that you can do in here. This actually doesn't affect this one, but in other ones, you can do revive. So keep that in mind. Let's go over how to play the game now. So now that we've done that, now that we set this up, it's going to go through 2 different phases. The first phase is the hero phase, and the second phase is the enemy phase. So in this first phase, you can do all sorts of different things. You have regular free actions. Free actions you can do as many times as you want, but full actions you can only do 2 of them. So there's going to be one of the free actions you can do is reveal a dungeon. So you get to remove the explore marker. So this is very important. If this explore marker is not is not removed from the top of that deck, which will be placed back at the beginning of every round, you're going to have to move the threat down on the countdown phase portion of this. So in the hero phase, one of the free things you can do is you can reveal dungeon tiles. Now, when you're revealing dungeon tiles, they have to go basically next to where you were looking. So in this case here, and they have to be able to line up. You can't do weird stuff like this or this. They just line up. I could place it this way if I want. And once you reveal a dungeon tile, you're going to do the elements that are on it. Now, if I had a scroll, you would actually read that part in the story, but here you're going to place out these enemies. So, and this treasure chest. So the treasure chest is super easy. You're going to go over here and you're going to place the treasure chest out here. So that's your action. That's going to be that. Also, if you're going to notice these goblins, orcs, gremlin, orc, and goblins have these little symbols on the top. This guy's never going to actually be one of these things you're going to flip. This guy comes out in a special situation. I'll explain in a second. But, so this crossbone is the same symbol as this crossbone. So this means that goblins will be the ones that get placed out. So I always like to say, okay, goblins are coming out, so we're going to make this card, and we're going to place it up here so everyone can see it. And now we're going to place out those goblins. So here's some goblins. We have up to 4 goblins we can place out. If you ever have to place more, you can just move one over, or you could just not place. But you have 4 goblins that can come out at any one time. If you have to put out a tile there and you can't place the goblins, your adventurers are already in enough trouble, so you don't place out another goblin. But there's 4 max. So those goblins get placed out. The treasure gets placed out. And that was a reveal dungeon action, which is a free action. These are also explained on here. So you can use an item. That's also a free action. So if you have items later on, you can use them. That's also free. So this doesn't cost you anything. You can do as many as easy as you want. Now, the one big important thing that I did skip over is when it's the heroes phase, you complete all your actions for your player, but you can do them in any order. You don't have to do clockwise or anything. You can agree among yourself who goes first, who goes second, who goes third, and you just complete all your actions. So you can do as many free actions as you want. Then you have these full actions, and you can take up to 2 of the full actions here. So some of the full actions you can do is move, search, swap, revive, and attack. Now I'm going to go over revive, but revive will basically take a knocked out character and bring them back up. That's going to be a special case in some of the adventures, but know that action's available. Move, you're going to be able to simply move the speed of your hero. So in this case, 3. And you could do these 2 actions. You can do up to 2. You can do 1 if you want instead of 2, but you can double them up. Like I can do 2 moves if I want, so I can move up to 6 spaces. I have to complete those actions, so I have to do all my movement, and then I can attack. I can't do 2 of my movement, attack, and then do another movement. Do all the movement here. I can search. So one of the number 1 ways you're going to be searching. So if there's no monsters in here, so that's the first thing that has to happen. So no monsters, we wipe those out. So let's pretend I wiped out those monsters. If I'm on or near this treasure chest, I can do a search. And I'll remove this token from the board here, and I will simply get a treasure card here, which will be normally something cool, but there's some traps in there, so keep that in mind, so you can get some damage in this treasure chest. But this one here's a potion of healing, so I can heal up to 2 damage. Discard after use. And again, using items doesn't count as an action, so I can do that as a free action anytime. So that was search. Swapping, if you're next to another player, you can swap as many things as you want. It doesn't have to be even swaps as long as everyone agrees. So that's swapping. Attacking, which is the fun part of the game, among other things. So in this case, I have the Robo Kettle, and the Robo Kettle is going to have a red die and a white die because of their item here that we get to roll. So let's say I'm adjacent to this one. I'm going to look at range to make sure I can actually hit them. In this case, I'm adjacent. If I wasn't, I would have to use line of sight. We'll go over that in a second. We're just going to do the fight first. So I'm going to roll these 2 dice. And what I'm looking, it's a bad roll. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for these hits. So if I get these hits, which the red dice are better than the white dice, you're going to look at the goblin here, which is going to be not on the hard side. It'll be on the easy side here. So it'll have 2 health. So if I was able to get 2 hits, I would eliminate this goblin from the game. So I just removed the standee if I said maybe got that and took the goblin out. Otherwise, I will put one of the damage counters here by the goblin to show that the goblin has got a damage counter. And that goes for the hero too. So if the hero gets damaged, you're going to put a damage on there. All right, so that's how attacking is done. We're going to go over the monster phase in a second. But line of sight works this way. So you're going to be able to draw a line from one of the squares to one of the monsters. So line of sight here, I can see this monster, I can see this monster, I can see this monster. But if this hero is here, I couldn't see this monster. So I can't draw a line without hitting anything to see it. So I can see him, I can see him. There's no obstructions in there. So line of sight's pretty simple in this game. The rules are pretty clear too, so you can look at them for the line of sight in this example. So in this example, the wizard woman can see A and C, but not B. So that's basically, line of sight's pretty simple, and that's how that works. So you have to have line of sight to do your attack, and then you have to check the range on your weapon. And again, the range is going to be down here. In this case, it was 1, but other weapons here have longer range. Like this can go 2 tiles long, so that's really cool. So that is all the different actions you can take on your turn. The next thing that's going to happen is you're going to have the enemy phase. So after all the heroes have gone and they finish their turn, you're going to have the enemy phase. So the enemy phase, each enemy takes 2 actions, same as the hero. They won't become determined. Oh, we should scroll back a little bit. If I did miss completely on there, I would flip my card over to this side, so I become more determined. And the next time I attacked, I get an extra die, so I'm more likely to hit. So that's really cool. Did skip over that monsters can't become determined, only heroes. But if you miss, so it's not sad for the child. You get to flip to the more powerful side, which is really cool and exciting. So I really like that part of the game. But monsters. So monsters, what they're going to do is they have to be controlled by the players. So the monsters are going to attack if they can and move if they can attack. So that's basically the idea of these. The movement on them is going to be 3. They're going to always try to move to the closest hero and whack them. So, and they're only going to do that if they can't already hit someone. So they're always going to try to do those 2 attacks. But if they can't, they're going to try to do a movement. And then if they still can't hit anyone, they're going to do another movement. Now, if people are equal distance away, the players can pick who the monster is going to attack. So in this case, we have the medic here. And we'll just switch it up here. We'll put my sturdy robot back here. So in this case, we do 1 monster at a time. So this one would go, and we look at the dice here. So this one's going to roll 2 white dice. So it's going to attack, miss, attack, 1 hit. So it did 2 attacks. I'm going to get a hit, so I'll put a damage counter on my hero. The next one will do the same. This one will have to move into range and then attack me. One thing I didn't mention here is you don't have to just move horizontally, vertically. You can move diagonally in this game, which is really cool. So this guy would just move once, he's in range, and then he would start attacking me, because you can attack diagonally, you can move diagonally, all that fun stuff. So they will just move until they can attack. All the monsters will do their 2 actions. So either, like I said, move or attack. They'll always do double attack if they can. And if they can't, they'll always try to move into range, see if they can attack, then do the attack. Otherwise, they'll move again. So that's how those monsters work. After all that's done, you're going to go into the countdown phase. So in the countdown phase, you're going to move the threat token down here, down 1. And if it ever goes off the board, you're going to trigger the event. In this case, the event is going to be these spiders. And these spiders here are going to just get placed out everywhere where there's a cobweb. So you see these old cobwebs right here. So a spider would be placed out in this part in the middle of the board if possible, and all the other places with those. And then this card will be out, and these spiders are going to have 1 health, 5 movement, and roll a red and white die. So they will be monsters out on the board. So you want to keep questing, because this threat token won't move down if you've gone and explored. Anytime you haven't explored, it'll move down. That's why you take this torch off, and why you put it back at the beginning of the round, so you can keep track of whether you actually explored to another map area because that's pretty easy to forget. In addition to that, where I mentioned that everyone has a special ability here, and sometimes you'll have special abilities other ways through cards and stuff, but if you use a special ability which has this S here, so anytime you see the S on an item or a hero, if you use that, you're going to put the hero token and you're going to place them on this countdown board here. So you'll place, let's say I use the robot's ability there, Robo Kettle, you place on 2, and then it'll be 2 rounds before I can use that special ability again. So that's how that works. Each countdown phase that'll move down. And then when we're ready to go, we're going to check to see if anyone is winning and or losing the game. That'll occur. One thing to mention, when these guys go off, they're ready to go again, but when the threat token goes off, it goes back to the 2. So after you spawn all those spiders or whatever it is for that level. But yeah, so we'll continue on. We're going to keep on doing this until the mission's goal is met or the mission's defeat is met and the players lose. So that is how you play CoraQuest.